Hello and welcome to English in the Kitchen. Today we are going to make one of my favorite foods, and that is pumpkin pie. This is a pumpkin pie. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. Let's get started. Before we start to bake, the first thing to decide is whether you want to make your pie from scratch or use store-bought products. So from scratch means that you make everything here at your house. You don't buy anything at the store. So if you want to make from scratch, we will make the pie dough. Or a bit easier is to buy the pie crust. This is called short crust pastry sheets in Australia. Short crust pastry. So you can buy these, they're frozen. They're frozen, and you can use this if you want. You can also buy tinned pumpkin, but this is very difficult to find in Australia. I found this at Costco last year, and also at the USA food stores. Or you can buy a pumpkin and cook it. Okay, so I am going to make the pumpkin pie today from scratch to show you how to make it from scratch, all homemade. So to make the pie from scratch, the first thing we will do is to make the pie crust. So I have a bowl, and first we will get some flour. So here's my flour, and I need 1 1/4, so just a little bit more. 1 1/4 cups of flour. And I also need sugar because this is a sweet pie. I have my white sugar, and I'm going to get 1/2 of a tablespoon. So that's 1 tablespoon, 1/2. 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, and I also need some salt. And I will get 1/2 teaspoon. So see, tablespoon, teaspoon. This one is bigger. Sugar, salt, 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, now I need to mix in my butter. For the butter, you want it to be very cold. So the butter needs to be in the fridge, refrigerator, or in the freezer. For my pie crust, I need 115 grams. So there's 50, 100, a little more, 115. 15. So I will cut about right here. The next thing we want to do is we have 115 grams of butter. Unwrap it. And now I'm going to cut the butter into little pieces. So I usually go like this. So this way, and then turn and cut again. Okay, and then turn again and cut this way. Oops. So now I have little pieces of butter, and that goes into the flour, sugar, and salt. Now, there are two ways to do this. You can use a knife, and if you use a knife, we are going to cut the butter into the flour. So that just means like this. Cutting the butter until it gets very small. So you can do it with a knife, or I have this. See, it has these, they're not very sharp, but this is for pie dough. This is to make pie dough, and this is faster than a knife because this is just one blade, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is faster. So I'm going to use this, but if you don't have one, you can use a knife. You want to do this quickly so that the butter stays cold. That's why we don't use our fingers, because our hands are warm and this needs to be cold. So we don't use our hands. We use this or this. There's what it looks now, a little better. Then you keep going. I want the butter even smaller. Oops. Okay, I think this is done. You see, all the butter is chopped up into the flour. Oh, maybe a little more. Okay, now we add some water. This water has to be very cold. I put ice into this water, so it's very cold when I add it to this. So just a little bit to start with. Now we'll get a spoon and mix. Okay. That is pretty good. So once everything is wet, then we want to quickly roll this into a ball. make a ball. Quickly, so it stays cold. And then I use some plastic wrap. This is called plastic wrap. And we're going to wrap the pie dough, and this needs to go in the refrigerator. In the refrigerator for at least 1 hour. Okay, now I'm going to cook the pumpkin. So I'm going to cut this in half. Let's see, here. And here. And then the pumpkin has seeds. So I'm going to take the seeds out. Take those seeds out. Okay, so I have 1, 2, and then I'll cut this in half as well. Pumpkin is very hard, so I'm going to cut this off. And now I can cut. There we go. Okay, so I have 4 pieces. These are small and these are big. So these will cook faster than these. And I'm going to put them all on a pan or I guess a baking sheet with some foil. And this is the cut side. So the skin, the cut side, we're going to put it, actually we'll grease it. I need some cooking spray just so it doesn't stick. So I'll spray. And then I'm going to put the pumpkin cut side down on the tray. Okay, now I'll put this into a very hot oven for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30, 35, 40 into the oven. Okay, it looks like some of this is ready. The smaller pieces, if I use my fork and push, yes, that is very soft. Let's test the bigger ones. I'm pushing, that's still hard. So I'm going to take these out and put these back in the oven. So put these. In my bowl. And these go back in the oven. For a few more minutes. Okay, now I need to take the skin off of these. Whew, these are very hot. So I'm going to wait. Well, and peel the skin. Whew, very, very hot. Be careful. This is the skin. I'm going to peel the skin off. done, finished. Do you see the steam? It's very hot. Oh, here's another piece of skin. Okay. Now I'll take the skin off of this piece. I'm not using a knife. Okay, that's all good. Now, we have to make this pumpkin smooth. Smooth. So I'm going to use my fork. I'm going to mash the pumpkin. If you have one, you can use this, a stick blender, to blend, to make the pumpkin smooth. A stick blender. Or I also have this. This is very sharp, and I can put the pumpkin in here and it will be very smooth. Okay, now you can see the rest of our pumpkin is ready. I put a knife. Yep, these are soft. So now these are ready. I will take the skin off of these. Okay, now our pumpkin is all smooth. Next, we are going to cook it with some sugar and spices. So we need to measure out. I need 1 cup and 3/4. So let's measure this out. Here's 1 cup. I'll put this in a pot for the stove. 1 cup. And then 3/4. So 1, 2, and 3. Good. This is a spatula. It's called a silicone. Silicone is what it is made of. A silicone spatula. This is a wooden spatula. And this is a plastic spatula. This is silicone. I like this one. So I have my pumpkin in my pot, and now I'm going to add sugar. I need 2/3 a cup of sugar. Okay, here's my 1/3 cup, so I need 2 of these. 1, 2. Okay, and now I need to add my spices. Spices are these: cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, ginger. These are my spices. If you look, here is my spice drawer. All of these: parsley, chili flakes, garlic, cumin, thyme, turmeric. These are spices. So the spices that we're going to use today: first, some cinnamon. And we need a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. No, that's not the right one. Okay. So you'll see now it is simmering. You see bubbles? Pop, pop, pop. This is called simmering. Simmering. So we will let it simmer, and I will stir for about 5 minutes.
Hi.
So I'm going to stir it.
Hi.
It will simmer. Okay, Mark.
Hi.
Okay, babe, stop. We'll let it cook for 5 minutes. Okay, I think we're ready. It's all cooked. It looks very good. So now we're going to turn off the heat, and I'm going to put the mixture into a bowl. Okay, now I'm going to add, let's do this. I'm going to add cream. Cream is like milk, only it is thicker. So if you see, if I pour milk, look how thin it is. Very thin, a bit like water. But now watch this. This is cream. See how thick that is? Very thick. Milk is thin. This is thick. So we want a whole cup.
Thick.
Whole cup. And then I'll need some more. So we're going to get to 1 cup. Okay, there's there's one. And a third. So there we go, 1/3. Okay, now we're going to add the cream and mix it with, if you want, you can use this is a whisk. A whisk. Whisk the pumpkin with the cream. Okay, now we add eggs. We need 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. Babe, you can't be in the video. Your face cannot be in it. Please go somewhere else. One, 2, 3. All right, and then we will whisk these as well. And you want to make sure, see there's some egg right there. We want to, and some egg white. We want to whisk that in so it's all smooth and nothing nothing that's not mixed. Okay, now this is ready to put in our pie crust, which we need to get out of the refrigerator. Okay, I've got my pie dough out of the refrigerator, right there, the refrigerator. Unwrap, and I'll put a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. And then I'm using a rolling pin. Rolling pin. I'm going to roll. So you want it to be, when you roll it out, you want it to be a little bigger than your pie plate. So this is my pie plate. This is my favorite because it's red. I think it's pretty. So if you put this down, you can see this is a little bigger, so that's good. Okay, so I'm going to roll the pie crust onto the rolling pin. And then put this down. And unroll into my pie dish. Just put it down. Okay. Now I can make, so this is the edge, and I can make this pretty by folding it. I'm folding the edge so that it's all the same size. And then using 2 fingers, well, thumb, forefinger, forefinger, and you pinch, 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 all the way around like this. Putting the dough. And then, can you see? It's not very fancy, but it looks a little nice. Okay, so now my pie dough is ready, and I can put my mixture in. So I'm going to pour it very carefully into the pie dough. Okay, now it's ready to go into the oven. Okay, I'm going to put it into the oven at about 200 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to cook it for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to turn the heat down to about 180 Celsius and cook it for another 30 minutes. So first, 15 minutes at 200. Okay, so it's getting very dark on top. That makes me sad. It's a little burnt and right there, but let's test it and see if it is done. So to test it, I'll just take a knife, stick it into the middle, and yes, it's clean, so it's all done. So I probably shouldn't have cooked it as long, but there it is. Enjoy!